The former Prime Minister, Sir John Major, is giving evidence today at the public inquiry into the infection of people with contaminated blood in the 1970s and 80s. The disaster has been called the worst of its kind in NHS history. Almost 5,000 people with haemophilia and other bleeding disorders were infected with HIV or hepatitis C after being given a new treatment meant to improve their lives. Speaking to the inquiry, Sir John said there was widespread support from within the Thatcher government for the people affected, but the government had to consider how to best approach the issue.
There was very widespread support within Parliament and within the governing party for the position of the haemophiliacs as the situation became better known. I mean, if you look at the context of the times, I said earlier there was a huge amount of economic problems. It was economic problems that were dominant in Parliament. But the position of the haemophiliacs and what had happened with blood was cutting into that. It was becoming more understood in Parliament and more known in Parliament. Now, Parliament's often like a great tanker. It takes a long time for something to turn it round. And I would certainly say in retrospect that the way opinion was building, it was beginning to turn around. But ministers aren't some different breed who are completely distracted and unaffected by the same emotions that affect backbench members of Parliament. So it wasn't that the government was just reacting to pressure. The government could see the case for help as well as the backbenchers. But it is much easier for a backbencher to bang the table and say, we must have help now, than a government that has to look at the implications of providing help. How much help should there be? What would be the cost of that help in terms of taking money away from other people? How should you direct the help so it goes into the best order? Over what period should that help exist? Should this help be in addition to the social security benefits that were already being paid? One mustn't forget that the social security benefits were already being paid to people who were suffering. But we were beginning to talk here about amounts over and above that to go to the McFarlane Trust as would become, to be distributed to people with haemophilia. So there was a good deal of sensitivity on both sides, both by the government at the time and by the House of Commons.
Sir John Major speaking at the infected blood inquiry.